there something expected? Is there an expectation that any sexuality is something that will be selling?
In the 1980s, when MTV was a major cultural force, Susanna Hoffs stood out among the young ladies. She stole the spotlight in the iconic Bangles music video for Walk Like an Egyptian with a playful side swipe. Her irresistible charisma, cute pout, and untidy hairstyle catapulted her to sex idol status overnight. Susanna Hoffs's boundless inventiveness and classic beautiful looks continued to enchant audiences of all ages, despite her advanced age of 65. In her field, Susanna has made revolutionary strides. Working with legendary musicians isn't her only accomplishment. She has also helped pave the way for other women in rock. Keep monitoring to see what she's transformed into and whether she's achieved anything recently. On January 17, 1959, Susanna Lee Hoffs came into this world in the vibrant and illuminated city of Los Angeles, California. She came into this world as the daughter of psychiatrist Joshua Allen Hoffs and actress-writer-producer Tamar Ruth. They had 2 boys, John and Jesse, and 1 daughter, Susanna. Atheist, intellectual, and creative utopia where great minds congregated and ideas flowed freely, that was Susanna's description of their home. Her maternal grandfather served as a rabbi in Chicago. At the age of 12, Susanna had the once-in-a-lifetime chance to travel to Israel to see her grandparents. While still in elementary school, Susanna Hoffs began taking guitar and dancing lessons from her uncle. After finishing high school at Palisades, she attended UC Berkeley for her bachelor's degree in art in 1980. While in Berkeley, she explored a wide range of artistic mediums, from dance and theater to film and more. Susanna was a production assistant and dabbled in acting while she was a university student. Stony Island, Andrew Davis's 1978 picture in which she had her acting debut, was scripted by her mother, Tamar Simon Hoffs. In addition to Richie Davis, the ensemble included Dennis Franz and Ray Don Chong. When Susanna was a college student, she went on some incredible adventures. In order to see Patti Smith's in the final performance by Sex Pistols, she and her friends made the journey to the Winterland Ballroom. With a bright, jangly tone, Susanna Hoffs's ideal electric guitar would have been a Rickenbacker, but she started playing on a Gibson SG before she went to college. Furthermore, being inspired by the Byrds and the Beatles, both of whom used Rickenbacker guitars, she managed to obtain a vintage instrument from the 1960s featuring black and white checkered binding. Susanna played this guitar while the Bangles were in the studio recording their first songs. After trying out several adjustments that changed the sound, she decided to buy a Rickenbacker 325 instead. On the cover of All Over the Place, you can see Susanna playing the Rickenbacker 325 V63 guitar for the Bangles. It was a black and white 6-string Rickenbacker with 3 pickups and a detached vibrato bar in the neck, according to musicologist Peter Mercer Taylor. The advent of this guitar in 1963 swiftly made it John Lennon's favorite instrument. In the opinion of musicologist Mercer Taylor, this represented the Bangles' determination to pioneer new territory as a female band. The Psychiatrists were a duo that came together in the late 1970s, when Palisades high school friend David Roback was dating Susanna Hoffs, and Hoffs was a student at UC Berkeley. Later on, they changed their name to the Unconscious. The subject of whether they performed live is rather unclear. In one version, Susanna mentioned that their shows will be around 30 minutes long, which is similar to the amount of time psychiatrists spend at their jobs. In contrast, Susanna denied this in a 2012 interview. She said that she and David had never performed live despite being in a band together in Berkeley. She asserts that her first public performance alongside the band The Bangles took place at the Laird Movie Studio. In the early 1980s, Los Angeles' musical scene was ready for a shift. Following her graduation from UC Berkeley with a degree in art, Susanna Hoffs made her debut in the industry at that time. As a lifetime fan of 60s rock, she dreamed of one day forming an all-female band. Susanna chose to take a chance instead of using the tried-and-true methods of finding band members through word of mouth or open auditions. The woman placed an ad in the neighborhood newspaper, The Recycler, hoping to meet other women who shared her passion for music. Her risk paid off when she crossed up with Vicky and Debbie Peterson, sisters who had been in a band together before. The Bangles also include a female member who, in a previous life, was in a band with Vicky and Debbie Peterson, the sisters from Peterson. This woman also happened to be the roommate of the Peterson sisters. Instead of teaming up with the first woman who posted about looking for bandmates, Susanna Hoffs opted to join up with the Petersons. It all started in Susanna's parents' Brentwood garage, where their musical journey began. They began their musical adventure in the converted garage of Susanna's parents, which they had turned into an apartment. Thus, it functioned as their location for practice. Whatever the case may be, Susanna, Vicky, and Debbie formed a group called The Bangs, whose name was supposedly a playful homage to a popular hairstyle from the 1960s. The Colors was the initial name. After discovering bands like the Byrds and the Hollies, the quartet began to refine their sound. Their catchy songs and jangly guitars brought to mind folk rock from the 60s. Reflecting its roots in Southern California, the band's music was a fusion of classic and modern elements, thanks to lead vocalist Susanna Hoffs' bright and unique voice and the Peterson sisters' close harmony. With lead guitarist Vicky, drummer Debbie, bassist Annette Zelinskas, rhythm guitarist Susanna Hoffs, and lead vocalist Susanna Hoffs, the band shot to fame in Los Angeles. A younger demographic was enthralled by their lively and nostalgic stage persona. The bulk of their fans were men, enchanted by Susanna's cute face, her easygoing personality, and her lovely disposition. They changed their name to the Bangles so they wouldn't get in trouble with the law. Miles Copeland, who is the brother of Stuart Copeland of the Police, saw that. Along with that, he established IRS Records. Miles was captivated by the Bangles' distinctive sound and deep knowledge of rock music's past. Their contract was signed with his record label, Faulty Products, which is currently a branch of Columbia Records. All right, now we can go into the meat of the matter as promised. The Bangles' 1984 first album, All Over the Place, was released. Critics gushed over the album, praising the band's skillful musicians, singers, and songwriters, as well as its nostalgic vibe. In America's underground music scene, the record was a blockbuster, even though it didn't sell many copies. Although Susanna Hoffs did utilize the Rickenbacker 325 on a few of Bangles' albums, she found it difficult to tune and ultimately resorted to utilizing it mainly for music videos. A borrowed Fender Telecaster served as her principal guitar for an extended period. In 1984 and 1985, she also performed live with a Fender Stratocaster. A pair of Rickenbacker 350S and a pair of Rickenbacker 62012s were added to her collection during the different light sessions. Another instrument she played was a Fritz Brothers Roy Buchanan, which she used to perform blues. The Bangles' 1986 album Different Light propelled them to even greater fame. With this album, they broke into the mainstream of popular pop music. The most unique track on the album was Manic Monday by Prince. The music video for this massively popular song showcased Susanna Hoffs' captivating personality and signature style. In the music video for Walk Like an Egyptian, Susanna gave a mischievous sidelong look, which became one of the most famous moments of the whole decade. People all across the globe were enchanted by her young appeal and utter magnetism. The Bangles' meteoric rise to fame led some to see Susanna as a spokeswoman for the group. It seemed like the label and media were attempting to make Susanna the center of attention due to her breathtaking, beautiful looks and charisma, even though every member of the band had tremendous talent. For a little while, the Bangles were able to put aside their differences and enjoy their incredible climb to stardom. In 1988, they released Everything, their most popular album up to that date. This record marked a watershed moment for them. For the Bangles' smash singles In Your Room and Eternal Flame, Susanna Hoffs teamed up with legendary songwriting duo Billy Steinberg and Tom Kelly. The result was immense fame for the group. In Your Room, a sultry hit, reached the top 10, while Eternal Flame, a worldwide sensation, topped the charts in many countries. In Susanna's song video, there was very little space for imagination. The Bangles quickly gained fame outside of the underground music world with the release of Everything. They were now becoming recognized all over the world. Their meteoric climb to fame had made them pop stars, and nothing could stop them now. Is there a specific moment when you first heard their music? The iconic Susanna Hoffs model of the Rickenbacker 350 was born out of a 1988-1989 collaboration with Susanna and Rickenbacker. Upon the dissolution of the Bangles, Susanna was presented with a Taylor K22 guitar. Following that, she collaborated with Taylor on guitars for Susanna Hoffs' signature series. She also has a 1966 12-string Guild Starfire, which she enjoys for its lively and inviting sound. The Bangles included this instrument on a few tracks from their album Doll Revolution. As the band's 1988 album Everything and its hit songs In Your Room and Eternal Flame were dominating the charts, internal tensions within the Bangles began to flare up. The fact that Susanna Hoffs saw herself as the leader and public face of the band was a major source of tension. With her stunning good looks and dominating screen presence, Susanna stole the stage, even though all four members contributed lead vocals. She was a regular in both interview and music video appearances. The Bangles split up in 1989 due to this internal conflict and the constant pressures of touring and trying to expand on their massive popularity. Following the dissolution of her band, the Bangles, Susanna Hoffs decided to explore new avenues of creative expression. She started off dabbling in acting, making cameo appearances in films including The All-Nighter, 1987. Tamar Simon Hoffs, Susanna's mom, had her acting break in a film that bombed at the box office. The 1991 release of When You're a Boy was Susanna's debut solo album. Though it featured the top 40 song My Side of the Bed, the album failed to achieve the same level of success as her collaborations with the Bangles. Susanna Hoffs was released in 1996, however her second album was not up to her standards. After that, Susanna decided to take a little break from the spotlight. During this time, Susanna experienced a turning point in her life. In 1991, she went on a blind date with filmmaker Jay Roach. Her life took a dramatic change after this meeting. The instant Susanna Hoffs and Jay Roach met, they were married. This was in 1993. This made it possible for Susanna to make Los Angeles her permanent home, since that is where she was born. Her mom was a film director and her dad was a psychotherapist. Midway through the decade of the 1990s, Susanna and Jay had twin sons, Sam and Jackson. Susanna continued to pursue her artistic pursuits even after she became a wife and mother and had to devote herself fully to her new role. Ming T was a band she co-founded with Mike Myers and Matthew Sweet. Their energetic 60s-inspired music was included in all three Austin Powers flicks. Rufus Wainwright, Travis, and the Lilith Fair Collective were among the artists whose albums included Susanna's particular singing style, and she also started composing songs for other artists. She managed her creative pursuits alongside her family life with Jay and their two sons. As the 90s came to a conclusion, Susanna Hoffs was faced with a crucial professional decision. After assuming additional roles as a wife, mother, and collaborator on several side projects, her solo musical career lagged behind her time with the Bangles. It was her husband, the filmmaker Jay Roach, who played a pivotal role in getting the Bangles back together and getting them back into the spotlight. For the 1999 sequel to Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, Jay had the wonderful idea of having the renowned all-female band record a new song. Because Susanna saw this as a chance to bring the Bangles back into the spotlight, she reached out to Michael Steele, Vicky Peterson, and Debbie Peterson to discuss the prospect of reuniting with the band. The good news is that they all said yes. While they were recording Get the Girl, it appeared like all the pieces would fit together. Motivated by this triumph, the Bangles have officially declared their intention to reunite for live performances, and who knows, maybe even an album. The band and their euphoric fan base were both thrilled by the reunion. It's not over yet. Compared to their late 80s heyday, The Bangles collaboration in the 2000s was a complete departure. Changing their public identities was their resolution after considering what led to their last breakup. By not singling out any one member, they want to show that they were a band that welcomed all members. The other members of the band could take turns singing lead and sharing the spotlight, so Susanna Hoffs moved into a supporting role. But her attractiveness continued to lure fans. The Bangles were able to reunite thanks in large part to this new approach. As a comeback album, 2003 saw the release of Doll Revolution. The next year they joined forces with fellow 80s rockers the Psychedelic Furs for a fruitful tour. With its blend of modern and nostalgic sounds, the Bangles' music captivates listeners of all generations, as shown by the album's good reviews. The reviews were kind to their 2011 follow-up album, Sweetheart of the Sun. In addition to her duties with the Bangles, Susanna Hoffs was involved in a flurry of creative pursuits. She collaborated with Matthew Sweet on the Under the Covers album series, which reimagined hit songs from the 1960s to the 1980s. In 2020, Susanna sang Nothing Compares to You at the Grammy Memorial Tribute for Prince. Despite her rejuvenated career, Susanna Hoffs has not stopped making her mark on the music world or exploring new avenues of expression. Susanna Hoffs is well into her 60s, but her place in cultural history is certain. Her abilities as a musician have only blossomed with time. She can now sing, play guitar, and write music. While her self-assurance and timeless beauty have won her countless fans throughout the globe, her exceptional creative qualifications are what have cemented her position in history. Once thought of as the prettiest woman in rock, Susanna is now a recognized figure for her groundbreaking work challenging gender stereotypes in music while still excelling as a musician, writer, and actress. The Bangles were a refreshing change from the stiff, gimmicky pop acts of the 1980s. They sang it plain and had a bohemian feel. Susanna and her bandmates were all dedicated musicians before they were a band. They had exceptional composition skills, a natural talent for music, and a deep appreciation for rock's rich history and many influences. Their innovative work paved the way for female musicians to finally get the recognition they deserved. The Bangles were more than just a successful 80s band thanks to their catchy tunes and trendy music videos that played on MTV. Their sincerity, calmness, and reliability shone through. Over the last several years, Susanna Hoffs has made it a point to search out novel ways to express herself creatively. She made her literary debut in 2023 with the publication of This Bird Has Flown. Following its critical and commercial success, Universal Pictures did not delay in purchasing the rights to adapt the romantic comedy for the big screen. It has also given her singing career a new lease of life. Her cover albums Bright Lights, 2021, and The Deep End, 2023, served as reminders to fans of her amazing voice and versatility. Susanna Hoffs is 65 years old, but it hasn't stopped her enormous fan base from growing. Social media users often share videos and movies of her from her early years in the 1980s. A TikTok video featuring her signature sideways glance from Walk Like an Egyptian has been viewed by more than 3 million people. For young people today, Susanna Hoffs is the archetype of an 80s stylish girl. A lot of people use Susanna Hoffs as an example of how to be a famous artist and yet have a good profession. Hoffs is also planning a novel and new music, so she is positive about her future as an artist. But her ongoing success is incomplete. The Bangles' induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is still a mystery to her. Their impact as a groundbreaking female-fronted ensemble that did double duty as performers and composers is undeniable. With singles like Eternal Flame, Walk Like an Egyptian, and In Your Room, Susanna Hoffs is someone who should definitely be recognized for her work. We are not quite over because there is more. Susanna Hoffs may take pride in her accomplishments as a trailblazing artist who refuses to be ignored, a woman who defines her own terms in life, and the possibility that the Bangles have not yet been accepted into the Hall of Fame. Susanna Hoffs has collaborated with several renowned musicians over her career. Rufus Wainwright, Maya Rudolph, Armisen Fred, Brownstein Carrie, Man Amy, Bird Andrew, Brian John, Martin Chris, Campbell Mike, Antonoff Jack, and Armisen Fred are among them. The fact that she has worked with several artists demonstrates her popularity and versatility. Is the legendary performer whose songs linger in your memory? Put the album and song title in the comments section. We truly appreciate you seeing this film and want you to know how much we appreciate it. Subscribing and commenting are great ways to show your support if that's the case. I'm excited to see you in the final project film.